everything we've talked about up until this point is in the past. It's documented. We have the beasts, the metal man of Daniel, the beasts of Daniel. We have the beast coming out of the sea, which is the conglomerate beast. It's the basically the Paul's John's vision of the little horn. Now we're getting to the second beast of Revelation, which I believe has emerged, but it awaits full confirmation. So to review, the identity of the little horn and the beast from the sea of Revelation 13 has been unequivocally shown to be the Roman Catholic papal system that existed for 1260 years between AD 538 and AD 1798. That papal system devised two competing false narratives to take the focus of the reformers and subsequent Protestant churches off of the papacy. Those two were futurism and preterism. Futurism eschatology has grown to be the dominant narrative of the end time events in the world today. So just to point that out, I've basically spent, actually, if this is the sixth lecture, half of the time I talked about the rise of futurism in the first one. We talked about trying to refute the futurist interpretation of Daniel in this one, and we spent half the time doing that in the last one. So now we're moving forward. The little horn beast system, the papal system, exercised a religio-political power that ruled for 1260 years. It was the longest ruling kingdom described in Daniel and Revelation, and it has created a false eschatology of a rapture and a 7-year tribulation. So when I talk about religio-political, at that time, Rome was the Vatican. The Pope was the civil ruler who made civil laws and the religious ruler who made religious laws, or it was a religio-political power. So let's take a look at this real quick. Here's our prophetic chain, the past, present, and future. Notice we cover everybody here. Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece has two phases, Alexander and the divided phase. Rome, which has three phases, pagan Rome, which was the dominant power during during Jesus' time on earth. We have Rome divided into 10 kingdoms of Europe from 576 to 538. So a little over 50 years. So I blew that in my last time. And then Papal Rome with the little horn power over the 7 kingdoms of Europe. Those kingdoms still exist. The Europe of today was the Europe that the Pope took over in 538 AD. There was a deadly wound in 1798, and we talked about that. That was Napoleon deposing Pope Pius IV, having his general arrest him in Rome, drag him back up to France, where he died about a year later in exile. Now, does that mean that the Roman Catholic Church came to an end? No, it still operated. There were still popes, there were still priests, there were still baptisms and all that stuff. But the power of the Pope to dethrone kings, to elevate kings, was gone. He simply became a religious leader at that point. And so, according to the prophetic chain, there should be another company, another country, another kingdom, another beast arising around the time of the deadly wound to the fifth kingdom, Papal Rome. And I'm going to argue that that's the United States. Notice that this chart here goes up to a zigzag line, which means that's the break in time. So it's everything after that zigzag. The deadly wound is healed, the mark of the beast, the 7 last plagues, all of that is in the future for us today. So let's read Revelation 13, 11 through 18. And you can see some highlighted parts there. And I beheld another beast coming out of the sea. He had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, and he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and he causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he gave power to give life unto the image of the beast, and the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, I point out all, both great and small, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell. So I'm saying here that the all that is causeth and the that no man might buy or sell, that applies to everyone on this face of the earth, all 8 billion people or 9 billion and whatever the number is going to be at that time, that all of them, no one will be able to buy or sell, say they have that mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So let's break that out a little bit. So the characteristics, there are several characteristics that we highlighted there. One of them is coming out of the earth. Then I saw another beast coming out of the earth. What is unlike the first beast, which was from the sea, and we learn in Revelation 17:5 that the sea is equal to peoples, multitudes, and nations. This one arises from the earth. It symbolically suggests a less populated region, a place of relative order, refuge, or stability, and a not arising from the ancient chaos or long established empires. The sea uh, is equivalent to turmoil and old world powers, and the earth is a new world setting. I'm saying that this is the United States. It arose, well, we all know, we signed a Declaration of Independence in 1776. Our 250th anniversary is coming up this year. And we were recognized as a world power right around 1800. So, what's another one of the characteristics? It says it has an appearance, two horns like a lamb. And it says, and he had two horns like a lamb. What are these features? In Revelation, the lamb is exclusively used for Jesus. So this imagery is suggesting that it's Christ-like, it's Christian, it's gentle, and it's innocent in appearance. It has two horns, two kingdoms. This is the kingdom of God and the kingdom of this world. Just exactly what Jesus referred to when he said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's. Jesus clearly identified that we live on this world and there are two kingdoms. No crowns are mentioned, so the authority is not overtly imperial or monarchical. So we don't have a king, right? And we also don't have a pope. So when this country was formed, it was formed from people who had um, very recent experience with religio-political powers of the Church of England and the Pope. And so they said, we're going to have a country that doesn't have a pope. You're going to be free to practice your religion, even though it wasn't in the early days. And we're not going to have a king. We're going to be self-ruled. So this power looks Christian. It presents itself as aligned with Christ, and it appears harmless, benevolent, and moral. And I think in the early days, it probably characterized our country and our leadership. But it also says that he spoke like a dragon. So what are the features of a dragon? Um, the dragon is, we're told, is Satan, right? He's the snake in Genesis, and he's the dragon in Revelation 12. His speech reveals his true source of power and his true source of inspiration. And by juxtaposing these two very short phrases, appearance, two horns like a lamb, and speaks like a dragon, that makes a disconnect between the appearance and the message. The implication is it's Christian in form, but this country is satanic in teaching, authority, or outcomes, and its deception is verbal, doctrinal, persuasive, but not immediately violent. So, for everybody who's having a hard time with accepting the concept of the United States being the beast from the land, um, I understand if that's hard for you at this point. But what does a dragon speak like? Um, I've got some pictures here.
He
This
speaks
first one
deceit.
is he speaks deceit for sure. And you look at the this first slide, obviously referring to the Iraq War. Um, we were all deceived. The world was deceived as to the intentions of the United States entering this war. Um, and I'm going to show that the United States has been very beast-like, has been very dragon-like for a very long time. We've got some headlines here. The bloody mess in Lebanon refers to the bombing of the in Lebanon of the U.S. Marine barracks. The picture on the bottom right is Jimmy Carter running for president, talking about nuclear weapons. Um, the newspapers in the bottom left are talking about the debacle of leaving Kabul. The newspaper stand on the right is talking about how our peace-loving Trump um, grabbed a dictator and brought him back. But lest you think that I'm only picking on Trump, this bottom picture here of McKinley talks about American imperialism during the presidency of McKinley. So we have been seen as an imperial power for a very long time. We have this picture over here of the Marine saying that the military is weighing its actions, and that's from 2016. We have headlines of Maduro being taken. We have Greenland. We're talking about buying Greenland or taking it if they don't want to sell it. That's this year in 2026. In the bottom right, we have is saying that in 2016, the U.S. dropped 26,171 bombs around the world. That seems relatively dragon-like. In 2016, we've got pictures here of troops in Israel, troops in Fallujah, battle scenes. I would argue that all of this is evidence of an imperial country that is that has shown itself to be a dragon. I've got headlines here, and I'm not going to go through them, but I said, pick a couple of headlines between 1980 and 2024 per each 5-year period that show the United States being imperial and taking over, destroying other countries. Oh, and here we go. That's what this list is. You can go back and look at it, but this is just to say everybody should understand between 1980 and 1992 we had Republican presidents. We did a lot of dragon-like stuff during that time period.
I'm not talking politics, but we could argue that forever. And
Okay,
there's a
you're
whole
right.
list of Democrats that
Yeah,
have done it. And remember your history. Europeans were imperialists. Japan was called the Imperial Empire. So you can't just pick 1980. You've got to go back. We're not
okay.
the only country that gobbled up world possessions. It's
Thank
been
you,
going
Paul.
on since the beginning of time.
That's my point of showing this. This shows every 5 years between 1980 and 2024. And I, as well as you and everybody else on the call, knows that there have been Democrats in power and there have been Republicans in power over the last 40 years. And so I'm not picking on Trump, which is why I showed a picture of McKinley uh, in over 100 years ago being in this, and pictures
Well,
of the
that's the Panama Canal. So I'm sorry, do you know what's going on now with Russia and China?
Paul. We're
It's
not going to talk
I'm you know
politics.
you're mixing politics in this. This is ridiculous. I
What
could
I'm
argue every country besides the United States through history, depending with Europe, England, Great Britain, the sun never sets on the British Empire. They
Paul,
gobbled up
my
all the world.
my point.
Did you hear my point?
Yes,
I'm a history nut. That's a
yeah,
fact.
yes, you are
Okay,
right.
thank you.
All I am saying is that the USA is the new Rome or Babylon. We are the dragon. All I am saying is we are the second beast of Revelation, and I'm showing this imperial history. I'm not even being political. I'm not saying it was good, it was justified, it was bad. I'm saying that the United States has spoken like a dragon.
I
And
And
think
so has other countries. And I'll
but
I
stop
think I
Paul,
there.
think what Paul needs to hear is that we are a wolf in sheep's clothings, okay? We say one thing, we do another. We say one thing, we do another. Yes, all the other countries before it were or before us were just as two-faced. But the thing is that you have to admit that we have been two-faced along with everyone else. That's what he's saying.
That's
that's
what
all
I'm
I'm saying.
saying.
That's
That
well,
is what
Paul,
I am saying. We're all hypocrites.
then you are making my point. Okay,
I
so you can
don't.
stop.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not being clear, I guess.
No, you are being clear. We are one of a procession of dominating imperialist countries. Our world has been dominated by imperialism from the time of the Assyrians, the Egyptians, the Babylonians. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is we are in that line, and just the last 40 years of headlines show that. The last 4 months of headlines show that. That's here. This is 2026. All I am saying is we are that beast that pretends to be a lamb but speaks like a dragon. Charles said it perfectly. We are a wolf in sheep's clothing or a dragon in buffalo clothing, either way. So, another characteristic of the beast from the land is that it has a relationship with the first beast, that he exercises all the authority of the first beast in its present and causes the earth and those that dwell to worship the first beast. I don't know if you noticed this picture on the left. I sent it, but that's the Vatican on the left. The dragon gave the beast his power, his throne, and great authority. The whole world is filled with wonder and followed the beast. And that's the U.S. Capitol on the right. The second beast exercised all the authority of the first beast on its behalf and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast. So the United States is the second beast. We don't replace the first beast. We function as its enforcer, its promoter, and its persuader. We will direct the world to worship the first beast, the papacy. The second beast does not demand, we are not demanding our worship itself. We will be pushing it toward Rome. Now, what are some things? It's really hard. It's hard to picture that, but notice that this is also from Vatican City and Washington D.C. We've got a obelisk in front of a domed structure with the leader of the country and the leader of the church. And so in Rome, they the Pope is the head of the country and the church. And here in the U.S., we have the Capitol building there. Do you think these similarities are coincidental? I don't. I don't think it's a coincidence at all that we have fashioned our monuments, our currency, our laws, our fasci, and all of our symbols after Rome. And so, um, also, why has every president from Truman to Trump gone to kiss the ring of the Pope? So we have pictures of Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Slick Willie, the other Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden. We even have American ex-presidents kneeling in front of a dead pope. All I'm saying is it a coincidence that we honor the Pope in this way and we honor Rome in this way? My answer is no, it's not a coincidence. We are forming an image. Okay, the characteristics of the second beast from the land, it's going to have a central role as an enforcer of worship. You can see here, this is it from Daniel chapter 3, where the three Hebrew boys refused to bow down. and that true worship versus false worship is going to be the central conflict. We have that pointed out in Revelation 14. Worship will be at the core, and the United States will be the enforcer of worship. I will bring pictures to support that next week. There will also be the other characteristics. There will be deceptive power, signs and wonders. He will perform great signs so that even man makes fire come down from heaven and deceives those who dwell on the earth. Almost everybody equates the false prophet with the second beast. And I'm saying we are going to produce, we are going to be the false prophet in a way. It promotes an image to the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast, and gives life to that image. That it will enforce the death decree, says here in verse 15, that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. There will be coercion. It's going to replace persuasion. Conscience will no longer be tolerated. Any who refuse to worship will be killed. The escalation pattern is consistent in the world. There's deception, persuasion, unity, and then finally coercion. And we see, an image of people being burned at the stake in front of our Capitol. I understand that hasn't happened yet. So, and finally, there will be economic control executed through the mark of the beast. He causes all to receive the mark, that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark. This will be universal pressure, all. The mark will be some kind of sign of obedience or allegiance. It will be located on the hand or the forehead. The forehead reflecting belief, conviction, or assent. The hand conveying action and compliance. And economic sanctions will precede physical force, and it will be a lot of pressure. Again, and we mentioned this before, that the beast doesn't care if you believe just as long as you comply. Forehead means belief. Some people will take the mark happily because they will be glad for a golden age. They'll be happy that there will be peace, that there will be a golden age. Others will hate it, but they'll do it because they don't want to lose their paycheck. But God requires that we not be hypocrites. He always says the hand and the forehead. We wrap these laws on our hands and our foreheads. And so we have that. Okay, we're almost finished. We're running a little bit late here. The characteristics of the second beast. So we're going to say is there's another beast. So this is the United States. I'm not going to read all three parts, but that the second beast coming out of the land, it rises later than the old world empires and outside of Europe's Sea of Nations. It has two horns like a lamb. It's Christ-like, non-monarchical. The U.S. is founded on a republican government, needing no pope. And when I say republic, I'm not talking about a party. I'm talking about as a republic, and that it's a Protestant of religious liberty, no pope. It speaks like a dragon. We have a shift from liberty rhetoric to enforcement when religious majorities seek civil power. Exercises all the authority of the first beast. It's acting on behalf of papacy, U.S.'s position as a global influencer supporting religious political authority. And we'll talk about Christian nationalism and the NAR movement and the desire to establish Christian laws in the United States. Whose deadly wound was healed. It's a restoration of the influence of the first beast, and the U.S. will help normalize and promote revived religious authority. Performs great signs. Miracles will be used to authenticate the deception. And we have a rise of signs and wonders and revivalism, and that what we're seeing is that's accompanied by great fanfare. Many times revivals are difficult to separate from political events. The image speaks, causes those who refuse to be killed. The historic pattern is religious laws historically escalate from fines to penalties, and no one may buy and sell unless they have the mark. Sunday blue laws to restrict buying and selling on religious grounds are being proposed. They're being pushed very hard, and they actually were a part of or are a part of Project 2025.